Hi everyone, Michael Elliott. I'm the Campground CPA with Camp and Park Accounting, coming to you today with question number 4 in our Ask the Campground CPA question series. If you've got a question that you want to ask a CPA, an accountant who specializes exclusively in serving campgrounds and RV parks, send them over. We would love to answer them on a future episode of Ask the Campground CPA. So today, I'm going to address a question that I've been hearing more and more recently, and that's what do we do in the midst of chaotic situations and circumstances? What do I do? How do I think about my business? How do I think about my strategy? How do I think about my budget? And all the other issues that kind of come along with that. And so today I want to talk about the difference between panicking and pivoting. And so what I like to say is I like to say that businesses, when they're in the midst of chaos, need to be thinking about pivot, not panic. So what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is whenever we're faced with difficult situations or difficult circumstances, whether it's in life, whether it's, with friends, whether it's with family, and especially when it's in our business, our campground business, right? Our natural inclination for a lot of us is to go into this, fight or flight mentality, to go into this panic mode where we begin to scramble around, we begin to let our mind get carried away, where we begin to worry about the future instead of focusing on what we can do today to plan and what we can do about planning for tomorrow. And that's what I would call panicking. Panicking, right, is letting your emotions control the decisions that you're making in your business. But my recommendation right now with campgrounds and RV parks is that this is not a time to panic. While things are certainly up in the air, while there's certainly a lot there's certainly a lot of uncertainty in the market depending on which state you're in right now, we believe that this is a really interesting time to think about how you can pivot your business to put it into a position to be successful moving forward. What are some examples of that? Well, for some parks, you may want to change your target market, right? So maybe you've been principally a campground that services folks coming to your area for large events, right? Maybe that was your business model. Well, in 2020, that may not work for you, right? Because those events may get canceled. And so maybe it's time for you to think about how do you change your business? How do you pivot your business to put yourself into a position to be successful down the road into the future? Maybe you need to serve another target market. Maybe your target market needs to be more monthlies, needs to be full-time RVers, RV entrepreneurs. And there's a million different markets out there. And I'm not saying one is better than the other. And I think it's very specific and unique and individualized for every park. However, I think that there are opportunities out there for everyone today to pivot out of this downturn. I think that there are parks today who are going to find alternatives to their existing business model that they are going to be able to use as a springboard for even greater things in the future. Meaning it may have been good in 2018 and 2019, 2020 may suck, but I think that if you use this opportunity correctly, you can really have a potentially even better 2021, 2022 and forward, right? And so for some businesses, this downturn is an opportunity for you to pivot your business, to make you maybe more customer focused, to maybe make you have more of an emphasis on your relationships with your existing seasonals, right? On selling some sort of membership programs. I think that there is a ton of opportunity to be able to position our businesses to set us up for success in the future. I had the opportunity recently to give a talk at Mark Cap's Back to Camping Summit. And during that talk, I made sure that I emphasized to campground owners that I think that the best is yet to come. I think that this is just a blip on the radar. I think that the people who are going to be successful in the future are those parks that are able to pivot out of the current mess of the situation that we're in and do something great in the long term. And I shared the illustration, and I'll share it again here, that of the stock market, right? Some of you may follow the stock market, some of you may not. But if you've ever followed the stock market, what happens is, you've got this graph that over time, is steadily increasing. Well, what happens when something like COVID-19 hits, right? Well, all of a sudden the stock market goes, I guess it's up, 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 and then all of a sudden we see the sharp blip downward, and everybody panics. The markets went down 20%, the market went down 30%, or the market, like in 2008, went down 50%, right? Everybody's panicking. The world is falling apart. But what happens, right? Well, then in the moment, it looks really bad when you look at that graph. In the moment, that 50% decline looks really, really terrible, or that daily decline of 10% looks terrible. But what happens is you zoom out, right? If you zoom out on the chart, and instead of looking at a 30-day period of time, you look at a 1-year period of time. And guess what what happens to that blip? Well, over a year-long period of time, that blip looks a little bit smaller. You zoom out to 5 years, what happens? That blip looks even a little bit smaller. You zoom out to 30, 50, 100 years of the stock market, you can't even see that 20, 30, 50% downturn. You can't even see that, or at least you don't notice it, because over that period of time, overall, the economy has grown. And I believe the same thing will happen with campgrounds and RV parks. I believe that 2020 is a blip. Right? I mean, certainly the majority of parks are not going to have better years in 2020 than they did in 2019. Some will. I know some specific parks that we work with that are going to have better years this year because of their states and different things like that, but some parks will not. But I believe that if we zoom out and we decide to take a macroeconomic view on our business as a campground owner, I believe that you will end up finding out that 2020 is just a little blip on the radar. I believe that you will find out that in the grand scheme of things, even over a 5-year period of time, 2020 will end up being almost insignificant to the overall 5-year economic position of your campground. I think you've got to do things right. We've got to pivot, right? We maybe have to pivot into a different type of capital expenditure planning. Maybe we have to pivot into a different type of staffing model, right? Because maybe we are spending too much on staffing. Maybe we need to pivot. Maybe we're not a branded campground and we need to pivot into be a branded campground, right? Or vice versa. You need to look at pivoting your business to take advantage of what's coming in the future. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that in the midst of downturns in the economy, and we can look at a period of 50 to 100 years of looking back, in the midst of those downturns, that's when the truly wonderful and amazing creativity and businesses are developed, is in the midst of a downturn. So my message to campground owners today is, let's take a macro view on our business. Let's not look at just today. We got to survive today. I'm not saying we don't have to get through a rough 3 to 12 month period. We do. But let's pivot our businesses, not panic. Pivot, not panic. And if you're able to do that, I think you're going to see tremendous success for your campground, your RV park moving forward. Super excited to be able to answer this question with you guys today. Again, Michael Elliott. I'm the Campground CPA with Camp and Park Accounting, and this is question number 4 of the Ask the Campground CPA question series. If you would like me to answer one of your questions on a future episode, please send me an email, michael@campandparkaccounting.com, or go to our website and fill out the contact form at campandparkaccounting.com, and we will happily answer any questions that you got. If you need anything, please feel free to reach out to me. All the best.